Do you ever hear people talking about their side hustles and think, why not me? Well, what's stopping you? We worked with HubSpot to create a database of 100 side hustle ideas that you can start now. Everything from design and real estate to public speaking and wellness. There's something in there for everyone. Plus, we cover the skills you need and the investment you'll probably have to make to get started. Ready to break out of your 9 to 5? Go to HubSpot.com/THDS to download for free.
All right, good morning, everybody. It's Tuesday, December 10th. I'm John Weigell here with Rob Litterst, and this is the Hustle Daily Show. In a year where chain restaurants are filing for bankruptcy, somehow Rainforest Café is not one of them. Where TGI Fridays and Red Lobster are seeing some of the worst sales in their history, Rainforest Café is trending on YouTube and TikTok. How does this add up, and how is the jungle-themed restaurant spectacular thriving nowadays? We'll get to that in a bit, but first let's give you the news in business and tech. Starting us off, get ready for yet another chatbot on one of your platforms. Reddit is set to launch its own AI chatbot called Reddit Answers in the near future, and testing for it just started yesterday. The bot will summarize Reddit posts and discussions, and this is kind of an effort to keep people on the platform, given search engines like Google are now summarizing Reddit posts and answers for search queries. So, Rob, what do you think about Reddit's idea here to make their own chatbot?
I think it's super cool. I'm curious how the application will actually pan out. People used to famously do the Google search where they would search for a term and then specify that they wanted the Reddit answer, right?
Yeah.
Google is basically trying to avoid people going to Reddit by surfacing Reddit answers and summarizing them. And now Reddit is trying to avoid people going back to Google or elsewhere by introducing this chatbot on the site. So it's going to be interesting to see what it does for visitor retention, if it actually keeps people on the site for longer.
Yeah, it's definitely a battle between them. And of course, Reddit actually allows engines like Google Gemini and ChatGPT to summarize their posts to a certain extent. So you can still get that summarization on Google or ChatGPT, but Reddit obviously is looking to probably give you more information on their exact platform. So I think that's something that they should definitely fight for, because having less visits to your website is no good for Reddit.
Totally.
Okay, next up, NVIDIA is under some investigation right now for allegedly violating China's anti-monopoly laws. This all stems from NVIDIA's acquisition of Israeli chip design company Mellanox Technologies in 2020, which China said at first that it was conditionally okay with, but now doesn't seem like that. More tech news here, as TikTok parent ByteDance, in a big shocker on Monday, asked for a temporary pause on that whole sell your company or get banned in the US law that they're battling. They're hoping that this delay will allow President-elect Donald Trump to step in and help them out starting in the new year. We'll see if that happens. From there, we go to a non-tech news for a little bit, which I'm excited about. Drink Mas Caffeine. Taco Bell introduced a new restaurant concept with franchisee partner Diversifield restaurant group called Live Mas Cafe. The San Diego location will have, quote, Bellristas serving up specialty drinks, which are called chillers, agua refrescas, and coffee items, along with Taco Bell's usual menu. The new concept is the latest play by the brand to get in on the beverage trend following last year's launch of McDonald's Cosmics concept and the growth of coffee and beverage brands in the US and internationally. How does it sound to you, Rob? Is this interesting, evolution of Taco Bell's offerings?
Yeah, I mean, I think that on first hearing this, it sounds kind of ridiculous. But then if you start to think about the Taco Bell cantinas that sell margaritas and people absolutely rave about them, it kind of makes me think this is genius. I think Taco Bell has a very loyal group of customers that love their food and just love being fans of Taco Bell. And I'm sure they'll be all over this. Coffee items, I'm not so sure I would go to Taco Bell for coffee, but I think the other beverages sound interesting and on brand.
Yeah, some sort of caffeine to get the blood flowing.
Yeah.
I, again, also agree with you. I don't know how much this is going to go in terms of if they're going to open up extra locations and whatnot, but Taco Bell always seems to have a very solid event planner in their ranks.
Right.
For somebody that could come in. They did this thing a few months ago where they built a senior home for millennials and Gen Zs to come hang out at for a while. So
it's amazing.
They have some wacky ideas, but people love it.
Really, really creative marketing department over there.
Oh, yeah. And finally here, the Wall Street Journal put out a ranking of the best managed companies in the U.S., and we got the top 3 on deck for you. A little hint, they're all tech companies, and we'll reveal them in the bottom of the ninth of the pod after our main story.
Hey everybody, it's your host, John Weigell. If you love the insights HubSpot brings to your podcast feed, then you're going to love Marketplace Tech. This daily podcast keeps you up to speed about the latest in tech news and what it all means for the economy. With stories about AI regulation, the fight against misinformation, and the latest in crypto, Marketplace Tech is essential listening to understand the business behind innovation. Listen to Marketplace Tech wherever you get your podcasts.
Considering our main story, you know it, you love it. It's the Rainforest Café. Long seen as a relic of the 1990s, this chain restaurant is doing unexpectedly very well right now for a few reasons. But before we get into that, Rob, you ever been to a Rainforest Café? Tell me about it.
I have. I think we went to one when I went to Disney World with my family when I was younger.
Oh, yeah.
And we loved it. If you're a kid and you go to Rainforest Cafe, it's like absolutely mind-blowing. Like there's so much going on and it's so far from kind of like the restaurant Instagram aesthetic.
Oh, yeah.
But it makes a ton of sense that like it's gaining traction on social media, right? Like TikTokers are loving it because it's an absolutely crazy like visual and aesthetic experience.
Yeah, it is. It's such like a wild immersive dining experience and very, very specific, which is why I feel like it did so well in the 90s. And we can even talk about why it's doing so well today, because it's gaining a lot of traction, mostly on social media sites, TikTok, YouTube. It's doing numbers over there. And part of me feels like that's because it's so different from maybe other things that were popular in the 90s,
Right.
You know, like a Planet Hollywood or like a Hard Rock Cafe.
Totally.
It's kind of this wickedly different association, no celebrities, no nothing like that, but it's like all just animals and animatronics and storm sounds.
It's so uniquely weird. Yeah.
It is.
And it's like the kind of pop off it's having on TikTok is with like Gen Zers who aren't even posting nostalgically. Like this is literally their first time going there and just thinking it's crazy and super cool.
Yeah.
I've never been to a restaurant where it's as immersive and as crazy as Rainforest Cafe.
Right. I saw a couple tweets about this actually, and people raving about Rainforest Cafe or Gen Zers or new people who've never been to one. And the big take that they have is always like, oh, wow, it's so fun to fear for my life while eating a wedge salad or something.
Yeah. Boa constrictor just hanging from the ceiling.
Exactly. So it's nice to be in that environment. A few theories on how this craze began again. We got the story from Slate, and also Fast Company ran a similar story about this. But in 2022, YouTubers Eddie Burback and Ted Nivison documented a cross-country road trip to every Rainforest Cafe in North America, which they ate at every single one. That video I saw a few years ago, it now has over 10 million views. And this could be part of the reason, this and also, of course, the atmosphere and environment of a Rainforest Cafe as part of the reason that it's gained so much traction in meme culture. And now the kids are absolutely loving it because of that and many other reasons.
I mean, I'm not surprised at all that it's caught on like this. I also can't believe that there used to be 45 locations.
Yeah.
This is like the ultimate novelty restaurant. Like 45 just seems like way too much. There are only 16 left,
Wow.
which feels a lot closer to like what they actually need.
Yeah.
I feel like every little like geographic region in the US needs a Rainforest Cafe, but no more than that. Like no more than like 10, 15. I think that's probably the ratio that we need.
Yeah. Like 1 to 2 per time zone, I think is fine.
Yeah, exactly.
Like the one I went to back in the day was in Vegas.
That sounds like it's probably the craziest one, honestly.
It was perfect. It was perfect for what it needed to be and in the location that it was. And yeah, now, I mean, you have a lot of places trying to emulate what the Rainforest Cafe did, and a lot of pop-up restaurants are coming up, right? That have themes and have kind of immersive Instagram-esque type dining experiences. And it's funny to realize that this kind of thing was so popular in the 1990s without there being anywhere to post your immersion into this experience.
Yeah, I think Rainforest Cafe is really one of one. And I'd be curious to see if this is where restaurants go from here on out. Like, are there going to be more crazy immersive restaurants going forward? I think a lot of trends would suggest no, but I do think that, you know, as culture kind of flattens and we have less and less places that are really wild to go to and more places look exactly the same. And I think that's a really big criticism of kind of like the Instagram aesthetic, is that everywhere kind of tries to look like an Apple store now. Everything is like super minimalist. And then you get to a Rainforest Cafe and it really awakens the senses. So maybe we'll see more of these going forward. I certainly hope so.
Yeah, we could. I mean, you hit on it so perfectly. I think part of the reason why a lot of other chain restaurants aren't doing too well, like TGI Fridays and Red Lobster, even Applebee's, is that they don't exactly have anything exciting about them. And of course, with Fridays and Applebee's basically looking identical to each other nowadays, it's hard to differentiate yourself unless you are doing something different. And, Chili's an outlier here for doing some great social media work. But it really is fascinating how people are more interested in the unique now and the experiences than just like, oh, let's just go to a random Fridays or something.
It seems like it's all cyclical.
Yeah.
It all comes in waves. It's like at a certain point, people get tired of that novelty, but then when everything gets super boring, it's when it's time to rise again.
That's right.
And here we are.
Yeah. And here we are. Here we are at the peak of the Rainforest Café. I'd love to see their earnings after this year. I would love to see that.
Totally.
All right. And we're here at the bottom of the ninth of the pod. And as promised, here are the top 3 best managed companies in the US as ranked by Wall Street Journal. Number 3 is Microsoft. Number 2 is NVIDIA. And number 1 is Apple. Lots of tech up there. And that's going to do it for us today. Thanks for tuning into the Hustle Daily Show. We're a proud part of the HubSpot Podcast Network. Our editor today is Robert Hartwig, and our executive producer is Darren Clark. We've got a ton more tech and business coverage in our newsletter. If you're not subscribed, go sign up at thehustle.co/email and throw us a follow on Instagram at The Hustle Daily. We'll catch you all tomorrow.
If you're struggling to keep up with all the latest innovations in tech and what they'll mean for your life, TED Tech has you covered. Get ahead of the curve with digestible downloads on some of the biggest ideas in technology, from AI and virtual reality to clean tech. Find TED Tech wherever you get your podcasts.